Shalom, shalom. Oh my goodness. All praises to the Most High Yah. I hope you're all good. Peace and blessings be upon you all. On this brand new Yom day. Yes, and I am back for another short walk. And I just had to come back on here because I obviously haven't addressed or been on social media for a short minute. I've not been on, especially since the events of what has happened here in this part of the world. But I obviously wanted to come on and just reach out to you all. I hope you're well. It's been a lot going on, as we all know. And let me just decide which way I'm going to go today. There's been a lot going on, a lot. And with that said, that doesn't necessarily mean that everything has to come to a halt. Still have to be immersed in prayer and giving thanks that we are still here to see another day. So that's really important. Really important. So today I'm gonna be reaching out to my the people who share the same or a similar condition to myself, sickle cell. I have done a video in the past about having sickle cell, especially having sickle cell at the age that I'm at, and also having to live with it whilst living in the Middle East. Now I have to say this, I've been I've been blessed not to have had to deal with as many crises. That's because where I'm at it's incredibly warm here, as you probably know, you all know. Not going to insult your intelligence, but I will say for 90% of the time, being in a warmer climate does allow you to have less crises, fewer episodes. I'm not saying that you don't have any episodes, because why? Episodes do come, but they're not as intense. So I'm so grateful to the Most High in positioning me here. Many people are saying, I'm not saying many people in the sense of, everybody on my friends list saying, since the events you need to come back home. It's not about that, and it's certainly not like that. People have to make certain choices in terms of whether it's their health, their well-being, financial reasons, whatever it may be, to stay where they are in these times. Because, and I'll tell you why, because when I lived in the UK, I would experience a lot of episodes, a lot of crises. It did impact on my well-being in such a way that I just didn't think there was going to be any other way. And had I stayed, and I'm being very truthful, had I stayed in the UK during the time of COVID, I don't personally think I would be here today telling you this or being on this video. That's a fact. Sickle cell is a very serious condition, and it affects a larger portion of the world population, but mostly it affects the African, Caribbean, Indian, Asian population, and it's a condition that is treatable, and it does allow you to have such longevity of life. See, since the 70s and 80s, because they didn't have much information on the condition and how to manage it effectively, then that's where it came to the loss of mortality rates were very, very low. Sorry, mortality rates were very, very high. Now the mortality rate's very low because in recent research and studies, there are ways to get through that. Now, somebody my age, right now I've managed to certainly look after my my episodes or my crises independently, because I know my body, I know what it goes through, I know the stages, I know how to, prepare if in the event of it escalating. So I'm aware of that. I should know. So I've been able to really kind of how do I say it? I've been able to manage my health in such a way that I've had no real intense episode until recently. So let's talk about that. So since the event, since the attacks on I might go, should I go up here? Yeah, I just keep following the road. So since the attacks, we everybody in the region, obviously everybody in the world, have been affected. It's impacted them in such a way that some people have just gone into recluse. They've just not bothered reaching out. Some people have done the opposite. They've decided to reach out and go on social media and talk about how they're getting through it. And remember, it's not over. This is not over. And some people have just tried to just live normally. So in my case, I would probably say I was in the second. I'm trying to live as normal as possible. Yes, we know it's happening. It's unavoidable. We live in that part of the world. However, on the first day, there were a lot of interceptions and very loud, and it was very, we were all shaken. And obviously that hasn't stopped even up until now. But I will say this, it hasn't stopped, but just to keep you in the loop, we don't get as many alerts, because if you're in a certain part of the region or the emirate, you'll find that there's less of a chance of anything happening. If you are somebody who lives near the ports or coastal areas, which is what you'd have learned about over the news, certain parts of Dubai that was hit or the debris has fallen, then yes, they are most likely to have constant blasts and noise, etc., etc. So going back to the time, which is now going to the third week, aren't we, So the first week, the missiles were being intercepted, and it was to consider something flying above you, and I think it's just the sound, the noise of it, or it was very, very, very unsettling. Now that went on for a few days. Week 2 was, it was a bit less, but it was still there. You could kind of hear it. You get the alerts. You get woken up to go into your safe spot or your place of safety. And then, obviously, the second week, that's when I became very unwell. Very unwell. I'm not going to lie. The fact that when your body has been exposed to certain levels of trauma, everybody's different. So I'm not saying that, certainly not saying everybody's going to go through it, but people deal with trauma in different ways. And if you're very strong-willed and you tend to jump back up and get on with life, etc., you can bet your bottom dollar that you can pretty much live a normal life. But for somebody like me, and certainly anyone who has a condition like sickle cell, who are living in this region, who are living in parts of the world that is warm, it's not necessarily now about the cold causing the trauma, causing a crisis. It's the shock. So yeah, the shock and the impact of the week before made my body go into shock, and I started sickling, which was, I'm not going to lie, it was painful, and it was painful to the point that I thought, oh my gosh, if this doesn't de-escalate, I'm going to have to go into hospital. And then that triggered me, because I'm thinking, we're in a world crisis right now. And I know where we are, we're very safe. We are very safe. Very blessed, we're very safe. And I wanted to avoid that, because I wanted to be very close to my family, that's why. I wanted to be close to my family, because this is it, it's all we got, me, my husband and my son. So that was when, prayer and knowing the Most High is everything. I'm telling you, it's everything. He is above all things, and He knows when you should be still and when you should go. And I put it down to the fact that, yes, my body is saying be still, and Yah was saying be still and no. And I listened and obeyed. Hence the reason why I'm here now. Look, I'm stepping up. So I fell into a crisis, and it lasted around about four days in both femurs. So as you can imagine, I just couldn't get up. I just physically couldn't walk. Both femurs, the biggest bone in your body, it was like somebody just gone yeah. And managing it is something, especially when you don't have like the hospital treatment and things like that, because obviously when you're in a crisis, the first thing you do need is to be hydrated. Now I am a massive water drinker. Like, just, I drink a lot of water. I cannot stress. So I'm always constantly drinking water, constantly drinking coconut water, constantly drinking teas, like herbal teas. You know, I do drink juice from time to time, but mostly are teas. I drink a lot of teas like mint, which is fresh mint, or, you know, sometimes you tea bag, or lemon. I love my lemon tea, hot lemon tea. I love it. I'm addicted to that, with turmeric, and you know, genuinely do find that I have a good, you know, hydration intake, so that wasn't going to be a problem. But the pain management side of it, that was where, yeah. I'm laughing now. I just realised that when you have pain, you can treat it in many ways. And obviously, having a Jamaican background, you know how when we're ready to do the rub up, the rubbing, the whole place is just stinking of rubbing. It's like, ah! But I did take a stronger form of pain relief, which helped because it provided a little bit of comfort in the way that I was able to sleep, and that's really important in this time. So over the course of those 4 days, I had to recollaborate my mind and just fall into prayer and manage myself, and allowed that, and all praises to the Most High, that I'm still here. I wasn't going to think that I was gonna need you know, medical assistance in the way of going into hospital and getting IV'd up, because I've been there so many times. And I want to say this to those of you who have been or are facing some kind of trauma, some kind of illness, your body started to, you know, pain up. Just hold in and take it to the Most High in prayer first, and, you know, try and get your mind to relax, because that's the hardest part. Let me just have a seat. That is the hardest part, being able to relax without thinking of the pain. Okay, I'm not saying this in that it will work for everyone, but I know that the Most High hears your cries in that sense. And I've also kind of like realised now more than ever how important it is to avoid the noise that is surrounding everybody at the moment. Try to create some sort of balance. Yes, people do watch the news. Yes, people want to know what's happening. Yes, people are curious, and, you know, but the fact of the matter is that nobody is taking it up. I'm not, actually, I'll rephrase that, because I don't know everybody. I'm not privy to everyone in the world. But I'm just saying, most people are spending the time outside of their secret place to bring it to prayer. And I will admit that I have been one of those that have been immersed in the news and thinking what's going on, and quite naturally so. But you see, the Most High ain't going to give us anything that we can't manage. He's not going to put us in places that we are going to be in direct danger, even though right now, as it looks on the surface, that we are in danger. yes, that's the reality. I'm not gonna, not gonna sugarcoat it and say, oh, we're fine, we're covered by blood. No, when your time is, and I don't want to be sounding too doomers and gloomers, but at the same time, think about the fact that you have been given another day. You've been given another day, another hour, another minute to give him the glory and the praise. So let that be the priority, and look out for each other, and because I know that we are in times at the moment where people want to feel like, I just want to be alone. I don't want to hear somebody else's issues, and I get that, because I've also felt like, when you're having to think about how you manage yourself, which goes back to the idea of, for me, the 4 days in being still and regulating the pain. It's the same process, regulating the amount you have to say, and especially because we don't really know everything, and we shouldn't be claiming to know everything. And unless you're taking it to prayer, and unless the Most High is speaking to you directly, you cannot claim to know everything. So just be mindful. I mean, in terms of the condition that I have, somebody who is a sickle cell warrior, I can speak from my truth. I can speak from my noise, and I know that there are probably many people in the same age bracket as me, who are going or experiencing this right now, and they can relate. But what they relate to and how they manage, I hope this offers some kind of help in what to do in a crisis. If it's in the UK, that's a different measure, because you're dealing with cold and the trauma and the fact that you're the environment. Because the thing is, a lot of it is to do with the fact that, reason why I come out at this time, because right now, just before the sun is about to rise, is the most important part of the day, where you can get access to the UV, vitamin D, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm just saying, everybody has to bring it to prayer and find a way of managing your well-being, especially in these times. All right, my darlings. So thank you for listening, and I do appreciate those who have been reaching out, and I want to thank you for reaching out, and thank you for having us in your prayers. It really does lift our spirits, and I'm really grateful for that. So you stay blessed, Yah bless, and take care. Shalom.